Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Notorious Moms, the podcast. I am here with another guest this evening. And Liana, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are, what you do, and what we're going to be talking about today. Go ahead, you got
Yes,
it.
yes. Saludos, mi gente. I am Liana Gabrielle. I bring to you the tarot tea and the witchy Wednesday. When you need clarity, when you need peace of mind, that is what I am here for. Okay, we
Yes.
do the feeling so we can do the healing. I try to promote community, accountability, and healing throughout social media.
So when you say tarot tea, right? So some
Yeah,
people may not know what the tarot is. So can you
of
explain
course.
that just a little bit for everybody, just in case you
So,
don't know?
of course, tarot is something that's been around for centuries. And what I think is really cool about tarot is the fact that so many different cultures and so many different moments in history involve it. Even before there was the tarot cards like we know them today, to have these ornate, beautifully drawn pictures that tell us a story, that give us a meaning. Even before those cards came out, which the early 1900s, I believe around 1910, the original tarot cards came out, but even before that, people were actually using regular playing cards and
Like
interpreting them.
like the black, like the spades cards, like the cards that
Yes,
you.
yes, like
Oh,
three
I
of
didn't know that.
clubs, five of hearts, so it's very, very interesting to see how society progressed and evolved and said, we like this so much, we're gonna draw pictures for these. So we have our own specific cards for this kind of stuff. Absolutely incredible when you explore different cultures and different places around the world, how different places all have a little something to do with the form of tarot. So, tarot is basically just a deck of cards that have different pictures drawn on them. And every card is meant to give you a different meaning and a different story. Now, when we look at multiple cards put together, they're all giving us a story, a message overall. And it's up to each individual person's perception to interpret the meaning for it. This is why you
Gotcha.
can go to one tarot reading about one specific card and will give you one meaning. But if you go to someone else, or if you look online, it can say something else. It's very, very unique and very specific to the person's individual perspective.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So it's like so I've gotten my cards read before.
Okay.
And I feel like, you know, you're absolutely right. Like it's a perspective. If they pull, like, let's say, I don't know the deck of cards, but if they pull a
Mm-hmm.
good, like, what would be a good card?
The sun card, a happy announcement, good news.
Oh, okay. So if you pull a good card, it's like I would be like, oh, that's a good sign. But if you pull something
Mhm.
bad, like what would be like a
Like the
bad card?
tower. The
Oh, what
tower
does that
means
mean?
everything is coming falling down.
Oh, we don't want that card.
Oh no,
We
we don't
got
want
the
that.
we don't ever want that card to be pulled from the deck.
That card is always like some dramas coming, major changes are coming, it's about to pop off. Like the tower card is always something is coming and it's gonna hit. It is gonna hit. And when it
Oh.
hits, everybody gonna feel it. Everybody gonna feel it. That's the thing. I'm blessed. I've been doing this 3.5 years, and I've noticed people who are skeptical will still come to me for readings as well, which I think is
Gotcha.
absolutely mind blowing. Like I
Right,
think
because
that's
even skeptics want a good message, right?
yeah. Everybody needs a level of empowerment, of enlightenment, and everybody needs to be uplifted. We're living through some crazy times.
Yes.
Like everybody needs to hear their little something, something. Everybody has their own problems going on. Everybody has their own world that they live in. So for me, it's a really nice way to get everyone on the page of healing and being able to really prioritize themselves. When skeptics come to me, what I find what they say the most to me is, "How did you know that?"
Mm,
That's usually what I get asked the most often is how did you know that, or like, you don't know me at all. How'd you know that about me? Like, I had one girl say to me, "Do you know my ex?" Like so this is where I get the whole tea idea from. because this
Right.
tea sometimes is gossip, is bochinche, sometimes the tea be hot, so that's where I get the whole tarot tea from, is that sometimes it can be intense, it could be hot, it could be spicy.
Mm. And people love a good chisme. They love a
Ay,
good
así
bochinche.
mismo, yes, yes.
So what was what has been your inspiration to kind of like get into like the tarot and being this whole spiritual being?
Yes. So I would like to start off by saying that this version of me was not where this began. Uh,
Got you. Understood.
I'm very I grew up very humble in the South Bronx. I consider myself a botanica baby. I grew up going to the botanicas with my grandmother. And that was very much where this started for me. My grandmother's from Puerto Rico, y en Puerto Rico la santería es muy grande. Santería is very
Yes.
common in
Yes.
Puerto Rico. So to me, growing up, I didn't really see it as anything different or
Or
other,
weird.
because I grew up in our community in the Bronx with fellow brown and black people, so
Yes.
I didn't really see it as being anything like out there or different. For me, it was just always like, this is our culture, you
Right.
know. My grandmother would take me to Botanica, we'd get the candles, there'd always be somebody doing the consultas, the consultations, either using tarot cards or another medium. So
Gotcha.
that was definitely my first, I would say, exposure to spirituality, to tarot, and to African traditional religions as a whole. It's super, super important for us to kind of destigmatize these things. I've had people look at me crazy over tarot, and I'm like, but aren't you Caribbean? Like, you better.
Right. Right.
I'm
and
gonna tell a
and
history
and
book.
mostly like a lot of, well, not mostly, but like there's a lot of Caribbean traditions that do believe in the tarot, and they believe in the spirituality, the African traditions, the Hispanic, Latin traditions. It kind of all meshes together,
Yes.
which I think gives it a nice different vibe, because
I
you got a little bit
agree.
of everything.
I completely agree. I didn't really realize that there was such a big difference until I got much older.
Right.
And the deeper I studied Catholicism, theology, and religion, the more I was able to really see in black and white, why it has been so demonized and so stigmatized. Because
Right.
these anthropologists, these Europeans, when they first went to Africa back in the day, they went and they saw our ancestors doing their traditional rituals like dancing for the
Right.
orishas, going out and doing the festivals, having
Right.
parades and stuff like that.
Right.
They looked at our people and they said, oh my God, these people are savages. This is so ignorant. These people don't know God. They completely labeled what we do as savagery. So, with that, you have Western traditions and people who are very passionate about things like Christianity, who will
Right.
say that it is demonic, that it is satanic, that it is anti God. So I've had to navigate the differences
Through it
here.
all. Right.
It
Right.
was definitely really interesting to me to see how some people are very open and will embrace it, and how other people can automatically just follow the Western theory of saying, oh, that's of the devil. That's
Right.
demonic. I will say that there is energy. There's energy in
Right.
tarot cards. There's energy in the Ouija boards that people will do to connect to
Oh,
the dead.
that's a little scary.
Yes, all these things have very real energy.
Right.
So when people are like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "It's energy. The energy does not lie."
Mm-hmm.
These things have very serious, very powerful energy. You do have some people who will treat, especially tarot cards, as more of like fun and games and like, oh, ha ha ha. That's great. But when it's trying to give you a real message, you need to listen. You need to
Right.
listen because the energy está fuerte. Está fuerte. People will
Right.
deny, people will be skeptic, people will come back to me a month later, 2 weeks later, even 6 months down the line, and say, where you were talking about it, everything hit, everything manifested, everything went down the way that you said it was going to. It's
Wow.
super important to understand that It's okay to ask for help. It's okay a estar pidiendo consejo. You know, it's
Right.
okay to ask people for advice. It's okay to explore other spiritualities and other systems and see what they would advise you. It's completely okay to explore. You know,
Right.
I always tell my clients, you don't have to do anything I say. You don't have to take what I say serious unless you want to. It's
Right.
up to you. If you want help, the help is available to you.
Right.
You know, it's super important for me for people to realize that it's okay to empower yourself. It's okay to get knowledge from different places and see como like, what's going to be convenient for me, what's going to be the best option for me. It's okay to make calculated decisions, and I think spirituality is a great way to tap into that.
Yeah. Like I'm really big on that. I say so I was raised in a
Mm-hmm.
Catholic household. Now, my parents were not um I wouldn't say like I don't want to use the word exaggerated, but they weren't like Bible thumping,
Okay.
Catholics. They went to
Mm-hmm.
church on Sundays. We were baptized Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got older, I went into like the Pentecostal religion for a little bit.
Okay.
And that
Uh-huh.
kind of it interested like it piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I felt like the services and the church was so fun.
Right.
The music was like so inviting, and
Yes.
the preachings were so like powerful, right? And
Yes.
they say like when you're in the spirit, and this is what people in the Pentecostal church would say, when you're in the spirit, it's like something that you feel like this, like I would explain it as like a heat, you know what I
Yes.
mean? But
Yes.
then after a while I decided that just like organized religion was just not for me, and I just begin to tap into my own like spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say that the church is not the building, or it's the people.
Yes, 1,000%.
So I think like just developing my relationship, I do believe in God.
Yes.
But I also believe in other things too. It's like a little bit of everything, I feel.
Yes. There's a word for that. The word for that is omnivert.
Oh,
Omnivert means that's how I identify in terms of religion personally. Omnivert means that you see a little bit of truth in every religion and in every path.
right.
I see a little bit of truth. I see and a lot of like commonalities as well between different religions and different paths. Like thou shalt not murder. That one's pretty universal. That
Right, but I feel like that, so like since you said that, I feel like that kind of has like a little, like, it kind of depends, right? Because if
Okay,
you're in if
yes.
you're in a situation, you know what I mean? It's kind of like fight or flight. So what do you do? Like, are you going to be
Yes.
condemned by God because you committed a crime, or let's say a crime, right? Because killing someone is just not the right thing to do. But if your life
Absolutely.
is in danger, right? What do
Hmm.
you do? But I think a lot of people, when they're in that kind of situation, you don't got the time to think about like,
Yes.
am I am I gonna be condemned you know, for doing this kind of
I
thing.
noticed that. I noticed it is very much a part of American culture to be more reactive.
Right.
And our culture, it's steeped in competition, in violence.
Yeah.
Like, I'm American though. Dios patria libertad. Yo amo mi país. But like we have our
Legit.
issues, you know what I mean? I
Right.
didn't really realize how reactive we are as a culture until I came to Canada and I took a theology course, a course on religion, and we were actually looking at an Eastern religion called Jainism. And
Hmm.
Jainism stems from India, if I remember correctly. Do you know that in this religion they don't believe in hurting any other living organism, not even insects?
Wow.
They wear listen, the climate there is more like deserty. Feel me?
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. So there might not be a lot of bugs, right? Because it's like so
It,
hot. But I'm
they
sure there
actually
is.
wear fabric over their mouths, like from here, like even pre-pandemic. Feel me? They were covering their mouths, and when I was doing the research on it, they cover their mouths so that bugs don't fly in, so they don't have to cause any harm to any bugs. They can just go about. Like, they don't believe in killing any insects, any plants, absolutely none of it. And it is a hardcore part of their religion that they do not harm any other living organism.
Wow, I think that's like so
And it blew my
that's like
mind.
really interesting because I feel like that about a lot of living things, right? You know, but it's just certain things. It's like, nah. If there's first of all mice, I'm killing that shit. Sorry, I know PETA, they love animals,
Yo
even the
voy a ir
mice.
a bomba en esa
Yo,
casa.
or like, the roaches, the flies,
Ah,
like
yeah, I
all
can't.
those like
Yo le
nasty.
tengo pánico.
Nah, I'm killing them. Now, interesting enough, the spiders I'll leave
I
because I
heard
feel
they eat
like
the other insects.
yes. So I
Oh,
don't really bother them too much and they don't bother me. I'm like, you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of
and
yours
I
and we
stay
can
out of
live.
yours.
We can live amicably, amicably. ¿Cómo se dice?
Ah, qué
You know what I mean?
risa. Yeah,
We gonna live
yeah.
in harmony.
Yes.
But that's really interesting to know. I've never even heard of that religion.
It's close to Hinduism and Buddhism. They
Right.
were all kind of like around the same time. They all kind of popped off in the eastern part of the world around the same time. So and they're also extremely like community oriented.
Right.
Extremely community oriented, which is another thing that blows my mind as an American. Because we're very every man for themselves. Like,
Yeah. It'd be like
yeah.
that sometimes.
Yeah.
It we living in a crazy world,
We do.
and I feel
We
like for the
do.
most part, some people, they don't mean to be that way, but it's just like sometimes you just can't help it,
Agreed.
you
Agreed.
know? So it's like the hell, but
A lot of it is survival.
of
A
the
lot of it is
fittest.
survival. Yeah.
You see like those animals and stuff like I don't know if changing the subject, I'll be going off on a tangent, but
On Discovery
yeah,
Channel.
like it's
Yeah.
like all it's the lion, the king of the jungle. You got to get it how you live,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how people are. For the most part these
I
days, they got to
agree.
get it how you live.
Completely agree.
So you mentioned Canada,
Yeah.
Canada. Do a lot of people in Canada like? Is that a thing? Do they believe in like tarot?
It's definitely not as popular or as widespread. I definitely have more clients back home, even though I've been living here for the past 3.5 years, which is hysterical to me. I probably have like a handful. I can probably count like all my Canadian clients on one hand. It really is. It's less. I think people are less tapped in and less tuned into it. To
Gotcha.
be honest with you, I think they're much less just by the book, conservative. We'll use that word.
Yes, that's a great
Yes,
word.
they're much more on that track. This is very like hippy dippy outer space Disney World dreamland for them. When they
Gotcha.
do a reading, I notice they tend to be more skeptical. They tend to be more skeptical. um it's definitely not as widespread. People are very into, like, they're curious but they're not into it. In the States, it's a lifestyle. You're into
Right.
crystals, that's a lifestyle. You're into
Oh
tarot, that's a
yes.
lifestyle.
Yes,
It's
yes.
not like that here. People will like dabble with like crystals, astrology, or the cards here and there, and that's it.
Right.
Like,
But
not a lot of people are like hardcore about it like I am.
so now when you do like readings, do people like do they get like super emotional or like have people
Yes.
gotten like really angry or like what has been some of your experiences like with doing readings with like just like regular people?
Honestly, a lot of tears. A lot of
A
tears.
lot of
A
crying.
lot
Yeah.
of tears. The readings do tend to be very emotional. I Hello, Chloe. Come. Would you like to say hello? I don't necessarily try to put them on that path. It's just what the cards say. It's just what comes out, what comes out.
Right.
Usually readings are emotional. whether it's in the sense of being able to release sadness, being able to release grief, being able to acknowledge depression,
Mm,
being able to be vulnerable and uncomfortable and take accountability for the
right.
past or for the present. And then some people, of course, very happy readings, very positive readings. For I have predicted a few pregnancies correctly. I have two of my tarot
Mm.
clients who currently have their babies. Yes.
Oh, nice.
So sometimes they're very happy announcements. Sometimes it's very positive, very, very joyful emotions, but sometimes it's the shadow work. Sometimes it's dealing with the negative frequencies, with these lower frequency emotions, and
Mm.
being able to really process them and heal.
Now, you talk about the frequency. Does that frequency transfer over? Like when you have a low frequency or like a low vibration, right? And you're giving these readings, like does it affect you? Like how do you feel when you're doing these kind of like readings?
This is my time to shine. Okay. There's definitely a level of preparation and a
Gotcha.
level of cleansing that goes into this before and after.
Okay.
Hello. I don't do readings for people if I'm feeling stressed, if I have a lot going on, like currently with the move.
Okay.
My earliest booking is next week. Like
Gotcha.
I need to make sure that I am emotionally in a good place, spiritually, that I'm feeling content. Because if I feel off, I learned that the hard way in the beginning when I started doing readings.
Okay.
Um, Energy is energy. So if I'm on a lower frequency, if I'm stressed, if I'm going through my ish, the cards will show all the ish that person is going through.
Ah,
It won't
gotcha.
always be the message that they need to hear. Sometimes it'll just be a straight up read on what they got going on. I
Gotcha.
noticed that.
Right.
Everyone does read cards different. I'm an intuitive tarot reader, which means I go by my gut. I listen to what my intuition goes to say. But some people do read the cards like word by word definition.
Gotcha.
So I think because mine is more on the interpretation side, my energy plays a huge role into it. So I do my best to like cleanse, and I always cleanse my cards between the readings. And there are people who do readings. Like I'm telling you, this stuff is energy. There's people who do readings and they feel sick after. There's people who pull
I've heard
tarot
that.
cards. There's
I've
people who
heard
will
that
pull
before.
tarot cards and they will feel sick because they're not supposed to be doing it.
Mm.
I
But
heard
they
these
do it
girls like to
anyway.
tussle. I heard these girls like to tussle. It is what it is. I'll be back in the X soon. But it is what it is. It's just, it's not for everyone. This is very intense energy. It's the
Right.
same as the Ouija board.
Right.
It's the same. You're opening up all these connections and all these portals. Like when
Yeah.
I started doing the readings, I thought that I was dealing con los muertos. I thought I was dealing with people's deceased loved ones when they would come to me for readings, because the
Gotcha.
messages would come to me so fast. And people
Right.
be like, how'd you know? How'd you know? How'd you know? So I figured, yo estoy hablando con los muertos.
Right.
This has to be what that is. But when I went to the Botanica to consult with my elder, who is a babalao, he said to me, tú no estás hablando con ninguno muerto. Los mensajes tuyos están viniendo de las orillas.
Mm.
He's like, you're not far enough into this to understand. You're at the
Gotcha.
point where you're receiving the messages, but we need to guide you as to where this is coming from. He's like, as you continue doing it, it's going to get
Mm.
stronger. You're going to feel like you're more on point, and you're going to feel the connection strengthen with the orishas. But you're like, he was very much like, tú eres de nosotros. Like, go home and do
Right.
your rituals, start building up on the white wardrobe.
Ah,
Salió el camino de ser santera, gracias a Dios. So
gotcha.
for me, I do take this very, very seriously. This is energy, whether you believe in ancestors, the orishas, los muertos, no matter what you believe in, you're tapping into the energy of the spirit world of the other side. So when
Gotcha.
people say, oh, it makes me sick and stuff like that, es porque no te conviene. No te conviene.
Oof. So when you say what's an orisha?
The orishas are gonna be for, there's a lot of different orishas actually, which we have in common with the Hindu religion, which
Okay.
comes from the eastern part. In the Hindu faith, they have a lot of different gods and goddesses. One of which is
Okay.
gonna be like Kalima. Kalima is the goddess that she destruction, and everything starts anew.
Mm,
Very powerful, a lot of wind, a lot of tormenta. And in African traditional religion, we have Oya, who's literally the same thing, and they're both portrayed as women.
gotcha.
Isn't that
Gotcha.
interesting? You
I
know, it's like it's the same energy, but it's interpreted and it's called something different.
so go ahead.
So, when you look at the fact that there's other religions and they have these same energies, these same frequencies, they just go by different names. It's all energy. So when we use tarot cards, and when we dabble in this kind of stuff, because it's not just tarot, there's other tools of
Different.
divination. There's a crystal ball, there's the palm reading, there's
Oh.
reading someone's tea leaves. After someone drinks the tea, they flip the cup over and they read the tea leaves. That's popular in places like Turkey. You know,
I was gonna say that. Yes, turkey. I
yes,
thought it was coffee grounds, but
yes,
do they do
no, they
coffee
do that
grounds?
too. They do that too. Coffee grounds and tea
Okay,
leaves. Yes. It's very interesting. It's all the energy of the spirit world of the other side. You
gotcha.
do need to be like, not everyone is spiritually equipped to handle that. It's
Mm,
not for everybody.
right.
It's not. Some people will be very curious. Some people will try these things and then it will make them sick and they will still continue. And then they will wonder why they don't feel better. And it's not just emotional, this is also physical. This is also
Gotcha.
physical. I had someone tell me that, like, oh, what do I do every time I read cards? I have a really bad headache. I have a really bad headache to the point that I need to lay down, like really, really intense migraine, body aches. And like, what can I do to cleanse after readings? And I was like, you're just not supposed to be reading at all. And they ignored me,
Mm.
and they're reading professionally using social media and taking advantage of the fact that they have a 50K plus following.
Oh,
So, yeah, they're making money off of it, even though it's making them sick. And I made it very clear to them, your headaches, your physical ailments. She said she would get nosebleeds during readings. I'm like, it's not for you. You're trying to tap into an energy, a spirit world that is not for you. Your
oh, and people
ancestors is
just don't know
not
how
with
to
the
just
bull.
take that advice. Oof.
Exactly. Like we have our ancestors, we have our spirit guides, we have our
Right.
guardian angels that protect us. You're feeling sick because the universe is telling you put distance between you and this. But if you want to keep on testing and keep on testing it, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. There's people who do like que se vuelven loco, who end up in psych wards, who end up schizophrenic because they're hearing voices from the other side.
Ooh,
This stuff is very
it
delicate.
just gave me goosebumps.
It's deep and it's real. And on IG, I appreciate, and also with you Wednesdays, I do bring more of the high energy entertainment side of it.
Yes,
But
yes.
at the same time,
Which I
it's
love. I
something
think it's
very
so dope.
spiritual. Thank you. Yes.
Right? You don't that's one thing I have always believed in, like this. I believe that it exists. I believe in the energies in the tarot, but I don't mess around with it. I don't play. When it comes to people delivering messages, and when they're clear, it's like we're gonna leave that to the pros, like the spiritual professionals. Let's say that.
Yeah, it takes a while to learn to properly cleanse and to really take care of yourself while you do this. Me being a botanica baby, I have that blessing that botanicas are always going to be like home for me.
Right.
So I've had the advantage of having a babalao advise me on how
Right.
to cleanse myself, on how to deal with all the energy.
Right.
It's a lot, and the fact that it can drive someone physically, like mentally insane, it's very, very real. It's very, very real. And I've tried my best to be open and honest with people. about how sometimes you can struggle with something in your mental health, but it's a gift somewhere else. I'm incredibly
Mm,
sensitive. I will cry at the drop of a hat. I can read the energy of a room in 2 seconds. And it was always something that tortured me. It was always something that really hindered me and hurt me in life. And then I got
gotcha.
older and then I came to tarot cards, and it's my biggest blessing because that's how I read people. I can
Gotcha.
tap in and I can tune into the energy. What frequency are they on? That's how I
Gotcha.
read. So when it comes to mental illness, these things that we can seem as being stigmatized or as being crazy, in the spiritual sense, sometimes it's because there's a gift there.
Ah, I see that. I can see that definitely.
There's
Definitely.
another good example I can give you is how some people can be diagnosed with autism,
Mm-hmm.
but they can be incredibly brilliant with math,
Yes.
engineering,
Yes.
things that we're going to be breaking our heads over. They can understand at the drop of a hat. There's something about when your brain is different.
Yes.
You got to keep on zigging. You got to see what's popping. You got to see what's going on there. Like you have to. It's not easy to be so spiritually in tune and to tap in. Like I'm usually, like I have to work to put myself in a good mood because I see this world and I see the energy and I see the demon time
Yeah.
that's on.
Yes. Yes.
¿Entiendes?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
we have to really invest in our self-care. We have to know when to pull away, not do readings, not deal with people. Like this week, I'm on a socializing diet. Yo estoy en dieta esta semana.
Yes.
I'm talking
And
to
that's why
like,
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I caught you because I'm like, you
yes,
know what? I know she's moving, things are happening. I'm gonna catch her right now,
ay,
and then
que
we'll
Dios te
be all good.
bendiga. Yes, I'm on a socializing diet this week, 1-2 people a week, 1-2 people a day, to keep myself in the headspace and emotionally where I need to be to continue being a light. To
Yes.
continue being a light. It's very difficult.
Continue.
Spiritual people deal a lot with, like, depression hits us very common, anxiety,
Yeah.
things like that hit us more common, simply because we're more sensitive.
Right.
And it was always such a curse for me, but once I tapped into spirituality and once I really started embracing my camino, I realized what a gift it was and how different it is. it's it's
That is
definitely
it's so dope.
it's definitely something to consider. It's definitely something to consider. People struggle a lot, especially with the mental health, with anxiety, depression, and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
People don't really realize that sometimes you're weak in one area, but you're immensely powerful in another. It can just take time to, do that exploring and
Tap
find
in.
those
It's kind
strong
of like
pockets.
tapping into yourself, taking the time. And I think like with people and the way we are now, it's so hard to take the time to kind of like tap in and like
Yes.
soul search, you know?
Yes, I find in some communities, especially for people of color, it can seem selfish to do that. It's like, but
Oh
I
my
got
God,
things
we've
to do. I
spoken
got
about
kids
that.
to feed. I got a job to work.
Yeah.
But you gotta tap in and tune in. This is Chloe. This is
Hi,
guest speaker number
Chloe.
2 over here. Say hi. Say bonjour. Say ça va. Say como
Bonjour.
estás. My little trilingual baby here.
Well,
It's a big
Liana,
it's a big world.
yes. And we are so glad that we got people like you to help us navigate with the tarot and the spirituality, boo.
Yes,
But
yes,
Liana, tell the people where they can find you. Leave your hashtags, your
yes.
Insta, your Facebook. Go ahead, girl.
Absolutely. So I am primarily popular on Instagram. My Instagram is Liana Gabrielle X3. That's where you can see me filtered, done up with lashes and makeup. Otherwise,
I
when I'm
see
home,
you.
I look like this. Um, my YouTube is gonna be Liana Gabrielle, and my TikTok is gonna be Liana Gabrielle X3. I'm very big on branding, so basically, if you Google Liana Gabrielle, something gonna
We
come
gonna
up.
find you. We
Something
gonna
gonna
find
come
you.
up.
Well,
Yes.
Liana, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with Notorious Moms.
Thank
We appreciate you,
you.
girl.
Thank
Um,
you. This
and
was
hopefully
so
I will talk
cool.
to you so soon.
Yes, girl. We turning up when I get back. Yes.
Take care, love. Have a good
Take care, my
one.
love. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.